Sweet, let's do this. Okay, just a quick disclaimer. I'm sorry if I butcher any names. Also, if I'm wrong on something, I will say that I'm wrong. And if you think that I'm wrong on something, don't listen to me. I'm just a guy. So the first question comes from Matthew on Kale. He asks, if you would do DCI, what would you rather play, snare or tenors? Also, what is your favorite chord? I would say that my favorite chord is Blue Knights, only because I like their style and they go hard every single time. Also, I'd play quads. I do a lot of snare videos, but quads are the thing that I play when it comes to actually playing violin. This question comes from curlyfries.jake. He asks, have you ever thought of making a YouTube channel that teaches beginners or other people who want to get better at drumming? So the way that I see things is that I have a lot to learn before I can confidently share my knowledge as a marching percussionist. Like, I haven't done DCI yet, I've only done one season of WGI, and I would like to go and have more of those experiences before I could share my knowledge with you guys. So this question comes from York Me. The question is, how long have you been playing? So I've played drum sets since I was 2, and I started marching percussion my 7th grade year, which was 7 years ago? Yeah, 7 years. So this question comes from my friend Bia. She asks, why did I join Team Mystic instead of Team Valor? Because Team Mystic's better. This question comes from Piano Man 598. He asked, what core/indoor lines do you plan to audition for in the near future? So for DCI, I plan to audition for either PC or SCVC. And for WGI, I want to go out and audition for Broken City, because Broken City. Yeah. This question comes from Alex SV93. He asks, any books you recommend on improving hands? This one. This one. And this one. This question comes from GZOP. He asks, what tips could you share to help me enhance my skills, mostly tenors? I would say that the 2 things that helped me the most was improving my second attack of the diddle, because the way that I saw things before was that it is more about moving your hand really fast, the second drum, and that's not how it is. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the bead bounces high enough over the rim to the second drum. So you want to go ahead and make sure that your diddle quality is on point. Also, make sure that you're working on your back a lot. Do a lot of back workouts, because when you're marching, the only things that you want to focus on is your playing and your marching, not the back. So this question comes from Paris Hobbs. He asks, how many quarter notes have you played first to last? Not enough. So this question comes from Geochipitinger. I am so sorry. His question is, when did you start taking drumming seriously? I think I started taking drumming seriously around 7th grade, because that's when I started marching percussion. There were rules, there were guidelines, there was a competitive aspect, and there were instructors that really made drumming fun for me. And there were people around me that had the same mindset of, okay, let's get better, let's do this, let's be the best that we can be. And that's when it all started for me. This question comes from Bryce Slacky. He asks, what started your passion for drumming? I think I've always been passionate for drumming. I was one of those kids that actually started drumming by like pots and pans, and then I ended up getting my first drum set, like those first little tiny drum sets when I was 2, and it kind of went off from there. I've always been drumming my whole life. So yeah. This question comes from Austin Davis. He asked, what's your favorite practice pad? This question comes from Evan K08. He asks, can you do a quad lick with stick flips and visuals? Yeah. This question comes from Ben Moss 116. He says, notice that you were working on playing Over the Rainbow on marimba. I'm about to start learning that myself. I was wondering if you had any tips before I get started on it. What did you do to work up this piece of music? The only reason why I wanted to start learning this piece is because I saw Marissa Spivak play it for INE solo last year, and I was like, that's really cool. I want to learn that. And I was way in over my head, because it's a really hard piece. I actually started learning it by listening to hers by ear, and then I ended up getting the music, and now I'm learning it now. The only tips that I would say is be patient. There's a lot of runs that look the same, but they're not. At the very beginning, you have the 4-1-2-3, 4-1-2-3. Make sure that's really smooth, accelerating and decelerating. So yeah. So this question comes from Will Halverson. He asks, what practice tips do you have to get better at playing with a line as opposed to playing by yourself? So what works for me is if I'm not listening to a Met, I would go ahead and put in headphones and listen to YouTube, whether it's Blue Coats, Blue Devils, Blue Knights, RCC, Pulse, SCVC, whoever. I would listen to the warm-ups and play along with them, and that's how I'd practice listening in. If you don't do that, I would go ahead and bring friends over and drum along with them, that we could go ahead and practice listening in together. That always helps too. So this question comes from Alan Ornelis 8. He asks, were you in any drum corps? So I haven't done drum corps yet. I did try to audition for SCBC this year. Unfortunately, I got cut. I am planning to go and audition for them again, but I haven't done DCI yet. I have done WGI with Valiant Defender Percussion, which is really cool. This question comes from George Ways. He asks, how can I get my left hand faster and stronger? It's the same as your right. You want to do a lot of chop building exercises, triplet roll exercises, buzz roll exercises. Just make sure that when you're doing those, you have good technique. Because if you start doing those exercises with bad technique, you're going to build up muscle memory with bad technique. So make sure that you're starting slow, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and everything's good. This question comes from Ethan Ewan. He asks, what drumsticks do you use? So for quads, I like using Vic Firth Mike Jackson's. I also like using the snare sticks of John Mape. I also have his quad sticks too, which are really cool. As far as snare sticks go, I like using IP Ike Jackson's, ProMark, BYOS sticks, and Vic Firth hammers. So this question comes from Zach Jackla, 24. He asks, is there anything you can't play or have trouble playing? So I've done the marching percussion thing, at least for quads. I would like to get my snare technique a little better. As far as bass technique, I can't do that. Playing sideways is weird for me. I've done bari sax in concert and in jazz band. I've also played bass in orchestra. I can't play brass. So yeah. This question comes from Harry Hune, 125. He asks, do you teach lessons over Skype? Unfortunately, I don't. I feel like I have a lot to learn before I could teach other people, but at some point I will get to that point. This is from V Machinia. He says, hey Gene, what's your philosophy on snares or quads? Quads are fun to me, but learning the rounds are a hassle. As for snare, never marched snare in high school, but I find it easier to pick up rhythms. What would you recommend to someone to play for drum, corps, or indoor? So for the rhythm and rounds thing, I totally agree with you fully. As for playing in a line, that is totally up to you. For me, I like to play quads because that's what I started on and that's what I know. So this is from Amanman. I'm totally sorry if I butchered that. Please correct me if you see this. He says, hi, I want to ask how to memorize songs fast and play in tempo without a metronome. And what should we do to cover mistakes that we make during performances? So as far as memorizing pieces and tempos, that all comes with repetition. The more that you work on a piece, the more that you're going to go ahead and start memorizing it over time. As far as covering up mistakes,
just smile and wave, boys.
No, I'm just kidding. Just try to act like it never happened and try to move on in the piece or whatever that you're doing. This is from Alexander Clyde. He asks, what drumline do you feel is underappreciated? This is a really hard question for me because I feel like I'm going to start dissing those drumlines, which is not the point at all. But I feel like mandarins and PC are underrated. I know people from both of those lines and they're really cool people. Also, I think it's just the fact that you're in California and you're like, oh, well, they're not Blue Devils. Oh, well, they're not SCV or blah, 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 blah. Well, no, they're their own drumline and they're cool as is. They play clean, they're doing drum corps, and that's it. This is from AJM Snare. The question is, what do you plan to do drumming-wise with your future? Well, I'm in college right now as a percussion major, so I want to become a percussion teacher at some point. I would also like to tech. As far as performing-wise, I would like to go ahead and do DCI and WGI within the next year. This question is from Connor Holtz. The question is, how long did it take for your Zymox pad to arrive? Also, is it worth it? Yeah, I mean, you're paying that money and you get that product, and they're good products. For me personally, I really like Beetle though. I want a Beetle pad so bad, especially the new Jack Fry one. Oh my gosh. This question is from Lucas Thiel. The question is, how do you get cross fives and single stroke crossovers so fast? I can't do it, but my scrapes are great. I don't know what the problem is. So for me personally, what I do is I slow things down. I break it down. I make sure that the bead placement is where I want it to be on each specific drum. And once I get that, I'll start speeding it up. And you'll end up getting the product that you see on video. So this question is from Heavenly116. The question is, how long have you been playing drums? And have you marched in drumline only, or have you been in any other section? As far as marching goes, I've only done drumline. I've also only done drumline when it comes to winter. I have played bari sax in jazz band and in concert band. I've also done bass in orchestra. So, yeah. This question comes from Michael Mortia. He asks, what are you currently studying in college and what are your plans for the future? So I'm a music major, specifically a music education major in the percussion studio. In the future, I would like to be a percussion teacher in high school and middle school. This question comes from GAR Drums 22. His question is, what is your favorite DCI show ever? This is a really hard question because I don't have a specific all-time favorite. I have a top 5, not in this specific order, but Masquerade, Tilt, Fellini-esque, Inferno, and E=MC². This question is from Andrew Lynch. He asks, which do you enjoy more and which do you think is harder, snare or tenors? I enjoy quads more, only because that's what I've played in a line ever. Quads are harder, always. because of the weight, and you also have to play clean. Granted, snares have like either 4 to 10 people, and you all have to play clean and sound like one all together, which is hard in itself. But I believe quads are harder, just because I'm a quad player. This question is from Instagram Will. He asks, "Hey man, I'd be really grateful if you could give my high school drumline a shout out." South Granville Drums. This question is from Mason Bose. He asks, "Could you do a breakdown of cheeses?" I could do it in a Periscope video. Right now I have a lot of stuff going on, but if you're willing to go and DM me again, I will talk to you personally and help you out. This question is from E.T. Chris. He asks, "How do you work on left hand to make it stop doing this or dual motion?" So what I think it is that it's a breakdown of technique. You really need to go ahead and slow things down, look at yourself in the mirror while you're playing, and make sure that your beat is going straight up and down. I've also seen instructors take their stick and have their students play 8s with their left hand and make sure that the beat is going absolutely parallel with the stick. This question comes from Chikadachu. He asks, "You're stuck in a battle against Cloud from Final Fantasy. You can call 3 members of Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts. They will all help you, but one will try to kill you after, one will help the person trying to kill you, and the other person will leave. Who do you call and who gets each position? The Betrayal, the Loyalist, and the Flake." I would have Axel, Roxas, and Shion help me. I would have Shion try to kill me, Axel try to help, and Roxas walk away. So that is it for this week's Q&A Monday. If you have any questions for next Monday, the deadline is Saturday, though. That way I can start working on it Sunday and Monday and post it Monday. So yeah, that's it. See ya.